So these are the Sony WH-CH720Ns. Now, I'm personally very excited to make this video for multiple reasons. First off, I used to love the Sony WH-CH700Ns, but then the WH-CH710Ns came out, and for me, they were an all-around disappointment. Yeah, they got the job done, but there were so many downgrades to them. But now, there are the WH-CH720Ns, and I feel these have redeemed Sony. And I will admit, when I first unboxed these headphones, I was a little unimpressed, I was a little disappointed, and I was a little worried. But now, the WH-CH720Ns have managed to win me over. Now first, let's talk about price. Now both the WH-CH700N and the WH-CH710N used to have a retail price of $200, but they would routinely go on sale for $150, and if not, a little less on major shopping holidays. But now, the WH-CH720Ns have a retail price of $150, so I guess it's safe to assume that they'll go on sale for around $130 on a regular basis, and maybe a little less on shopping holidays. Nonetheless, I do like and recommend the WH-CH720N at $150, but if you find them on sale, I would jump on the opportunity. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch shelf down below. I've made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great, and if you've been watching me for a while, you know I can be very particular, so I'll only set my name on something that I'm really proud of. Now first, let's talk about the case. Unfortunately, the WH-CH720N still don't come included with any type of carrying case, and I do feel that this is unfortunate because there are many entry-level ANC headphones that either come included with carrying pouches or they come included with hard shell cases. So if you do plan on traveling with these headphones, or if you plan on using them while at the gym, then I do recommend that you invest in a hard shell case. But now let's talk about the headphones themselves. Build quality wise, these headphones really surprised me. Initially, I thought that they would be fragile just because of how lightweight they are, but I found that they're fairly durable. But more importantly, they have noticeably better build quality than their predecessors. With the 710Ns, these body panels would constantly wiggle and there would just be a lot of squeaking anytime that you handle these headphones, and they also squeak when they're on your head. Whereas, this wasn't an issue with the 700Ns, and this isn't an issue with the 720Ns. Now, the 720Ns still have a mostly plastic body, but the 720Ns have gone back to using a smooth plastic, unlike the textured plastic that you'll find on the 710Ns. But more importantly, the leatherette on the 720Ns feels much better than the leatherette found on the 710Ns. I felt that the leatherette on the WH-710Ns felt rough and coarse, and it got everywhere. And after a while, this leatherette could get a little itchy. Whereas the leatherette on the 720Ns is back to feeling smooth and a little supple, and I feel that this leatherette feels better than the leatherette found on the 700N. But overall, I am gonna have to say that the build quality on the 720Ns is much better than the 710Ns, and looks aside, the 720Ns look much sleeker than the 700N. And when it comes to fit, these headphones fit great. When it comes to clamping force, these headphones have a neutral fit to them, as in they aren't too tight, but they also don't have a loose fit to them. But regardless, they are big head approved because I can wear them for hours on end without any problems. And since their headband extends a lot, they fit well with hats too. But another reason as to why these headphones are so comfortable is because of their lightweight. The 720Ns weigh in at 192 grams, which is super lightweight, whereas the 710Ns weigh in at 223 grams, and the 700Ns weigh in at 240 grams. Now, for context, all of these headphones are lightweight because the XM5s weigh in at 250 grams, and the XM4s weigh in at 254 grams. And I would also consider those to be lightweight as well. But with the 720Ns, with these things weighing as little as 192 grams, it's much easier to forget that you're even wearing these headphones when you're sitting at your desk or walking around with them on. But another reason why these headphones are so comfortable is simply because of their earpads. The earpads on the 720Ns are just as spacious and as deep as the earpads found on the 700Ns, meaning that they should fit most ear types just fine, and even if you have really large ears or ears that that stick out a lot, then the 720Ns should still have you covered. And this is a big deal because with the 710Ns, yes, these earpads have a big diameter to them, but they're also very shallow. And even if you have average size ears like I do, these earpads are going to press down on your ear cartilage, which is going to get uncomfortable after a while. So overall, when it comes to fit, I really don't have any critiques. They're big head approved because they have a neutral amount of clamping force. They're super lightweight, making them super easy to forget that you even have them on. Their earpads are much more spacious. Their leatherette feels better. They rest very naturally on your head, and hotspots are never an issue because their headband is very well padded. But now let's talk about tech specs. Regarding battery life, the WH-CH720Ns have an advertised battery life of 35 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on, the same as both the 710Ns and 700Ns. However, with their active noise cancellation turned off, they can go for as long as 50 hours, which is 10 hours more than both the 710Ns and 700Ns with their active noise cancellation turned off. Now, in general, the 720Ns having an advertised battery life of 35 hours with the active noise cancellation turned on is very good, but personally, I would have liked to have seen an advertised battery life of 40 hours. Now, when it comes to actually charging these headphones, they charge via a USB-C port, as they should, and so do the 710Ns. However, if you're still using the 700Ns, I do feel that this is a big enough reason to upgrade because the 700Ns charge via a micro USB port. However, something that did get upgraded on the 720Ns is their fast charging. If you were to plug these headphones in from a dead battery for 3 minutes, you're going to get 1 hour of playback time. Whereas with both of its predecessors, if you were to plug them in for 10 minutes, you're only going to get 1 hour of playback time. Now, there are plenty of other headphones out there that have better fast charging numbers than the 720Ns, but still, the fast charging on the 720Ns has been improved. But a major new feature that finally made its way to the Sony WH-CH720Ns is multi-point connectivity, meaning that these headphones can finally be connected to 2 devices at the same time, which is really good if you're a power user that wants to use their headphones with your phone and your computer at the same time, and they don't necessarily have to be in the same ecosystem. Now, this is a big deal because neither of these headphones' predecessors can do this, and in general, it took Sony a really long time to finally get this right, and Sony is like one of the last big major headphone company to actually add this feature to all of their headphones. Now, in order to turn this feature on, you do have to go into these headphones app and you have to turn on multi-point connectivity. But the really weird thing here is that you're going to get a prompt saying that if you want to turn this feature on, then you're not going to be able to use LDAC. But I do feel that this is a glitch because I've already double checked and these headphones don't actually have LDAC. And what LDAC is Sony's own in-house high-res audio codec. But the important thing here is these headphones don't actually have LDAC because they top out at 8 AC. So definitely, if you want to use this feature, you should definitely just go into their app and turn it on. And you can ignore that prompt about LDAC because it's probably just a glitch. But when it comes to overall performance, these headphones have 0 latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. And when it comes to audio codecs, these headphones have support for SBC and 8AC. Like I just mentioned, these headphones don't actually have LDAC. But now let's talk about actually listening to music with these headphones. For starters, I'm gonna have to say that these headphones sound like your typical pair of Sony headphones, as in, they sound good enough to get the job done, and they have a decent amount of physicality in their bass, so they are going to rattle your head a little bit. However, instrument separation on these headphones isn't the best because instrumentals can be a little hard to pick out, and the highs don't have the best clarity. With these, it's mostly vocals and bass, but don't get me wrong, they sound good and they get the job done. However, the most important thing about these headphones is that they no longer have a super bass heavy EQ and they connect to Sony's app again, meaning that you can adjust their EQ to your liking. Because with these 710Ns, personally, I never really liked these headphones because they had a super bass heavy stock EQ. So they sounded super shallow. And if you were going to use these headphones to watch movies with, you would have to use them at max volume because if not, you couldn't hear what people were saying. But what I really don't like about these headphones is that Sony removed their app compatibility. So you couldn't go in and fix their EQ. And I still don't know why Sony removed the app support on the 710N 710Ns, because the 700Ns did have app support, but more importantly, Sony brought the app support back to the 720Ns. So now you can go in and adjust your EQ to your liking, and you can have different EQ settings for different listening situations. But like I said, these headphones do sound a little narrow, and the highs don't have the best clarity and detail to them. However, these headphones do sound good enough to get the job done, and if you're someone that likes to feel the bass in your music, then these will be able to deliver. Now, when it comes to your media controls, these headphones have physical buttons. You can easily adjust the volume, you can skip through your music, and these buttons are easy to find and they have a very satisfying click to them. But I will admit that I still missed the toggle switch that was found on the 700N. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these headphones. Now, the active noise cancellation on the 720Ns has been improved from its predecessors, but it's not a huge leap. But the important thing is their active noise cancellation has zero cabin pressure, there's zero static in the background, and it doesn't affect how your music sounds, and their microphone array does a really good job of blocking out wind noise. But so that you can see for yourself, let's just jump into the ANC test. So like you may have just seen, the 720Ns block out a decent amount of noise for a pair of entry-level ANC headphones. But if you were to invest in Sony's more premium headphones, then they will block out more noise. However, the 720Ns are doing a much better job of blocking out more low-frequency sounds like road noise than both of its predecessors, and they're also doing a better job of blocking out the amount of noise from the high end when blocking out chatter. So overall, yes, I will say the 720Ns block out more noise than the 710Ns and 700Ns, and the ANC on these headphones can be useful on your bus ride commute, at the gym, or if you're in the cafeteria. However, if you want to block out more noise, you should invest in a more premium pair of headphones, and personally, I wouldn't fly with these because they will let in a lot of airplane noise. But then, there's the ambient mode on these headphones. Now, for starters, the 700Ns don't have an ambient mode. All you can do is use them with their ANC turned off. Now, the 710Ns do have an ambient mode, but you can't adjust it. But then, there's the ambient mode on the 720N. Now, with these, you can adjust the ambient mode on your headphones to your liking, and in general, the ambient mode on these headphones sounds much more natural than the ambient mode found on the 710Ns. And like I mentioned earlier, the microphone array on these headphones does a really good job of blocking out wind noise when walking outdoors. Just keep in mind, this ambient mode lets in everything. The ambient mode on the WH-CH720Ns doesn't actively block out sudden and loud sounds like with the ambient mode found on the Sony XM4s or AirPod Pro 2. But finally, here's the microphone test. Now, Sony has always struggled with their microphones on their headphones for phone calls. However, with the 1000 XM5s, Sony finally saw some improvements with their microphones for phone calls. And I have to say, the microphone on the WH-CH720Ns is better than the microphone on both of its predecessors. Specifically, this microphone is doing a much better job of focusing on my voice. However, when it comes to blocking out noise pollution, this microphone is struggling quite a bit because you can clearly hear a decent amount of road noise in the background. And with the 710Ns, you can also hear a lot of road noise in the background, if not more road noise than with the 710Ns. And with the 700Ns, you can hear a lot of road noise in the background, and you can barely even hear road noise. But when it comes to blocking out chatter, these do sound a little better, but there definitely still is a good amount of noise pollution in the background. Now, with the 710Ns, you can hear me a little better, but I still wouldn't take phone calls with this microphone. And while we're here, I also want to quickly point out that maybe you'll hear this while I'm talking, but while I'm talking, there is some creaking from the headphones themselves. So this is just an example of the poor build quality that I was talking about earlier on in this video. And then there's the 720Ns, which don't sound amazing, but this is a little better than the 720Ns. So overall, I would say that the microphone on the 720Ns is decent enough to take phone calls with while in a quiet room. However, I would avoid taking phone calls with these headphones if there's a lot of noise pollution. But with all that being said, personally, I really like the Sony WH-720Ns. I feel that Sony has redeemed themselves after what they did with the 710Ns. But I also feel that Sony really needed to make things right because the entry-level ANC headphone market is very competitive. Overall, the Sony WH-720Ns are very easy for me to recommend because they have much better build quality than their predecessors. They fit great because they're super lightweight and they have very spacious earpads again. They have great battery life with improved fast charging, and they now have multi-point connectivity. And sound quality wise, these headphones sound good enough to get the job done. But the important thing is that they now have an adjustable EQ again. So you're not stuck with a super bass heavy EQ like you were with the 710Ns. Now, even though the 720Ns have improved active noise cancellation from its predecessors, don't expect them to block out a ton of noise. And their microphone for phone calls is so-so. Overall, I think the Sony WH-720Ns are a decent pair of daily driver headphones, or they can be a great option for the gym. The only thing that I still wish that these headphones came with was a case of some sort. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.